Welcome to the Big Three Sportscast, where we talk about the big three sports MLB, NBA, and NFL, but not necessarily in that order. Today, we are covering the NBA. Last week, we covered the NFL and our playoff predictions, Super Bowl predictions. Today, we're going to do the same thing for the NBA. And I mean, for me, the NBA is wide open this year. There's a lot of teams that can win it in the West. I mean, the East is a little different, but today, again, I have Dan and Ryan with me. How are you guys doing?
Fine. How
Doing
are
great.
you?
Well,
How
look
are
at
you?
that. Everybody's in a good mood, peppy. This is not necessarily their forte, but we did some research. We got it. But this is where I love watching. Basketball to me is it's interesting because one person can take over a game. Everything else is more team oriented, and I like team oriented games. It's just basketball is very interesting to me because it's entirely a superstar league.
The
Yeah,
drama
that's true.
keeps us entertained.
That is true. The drama is top tier. And that's where a lot of the news and sports comes from, is from the NBA and the drama. But that's not really what we're going to do today. Today we're really going to go over what happened in free agency, what teams made the moves they needed to get into the playoffs. We're going to go through our playoff predictions, like I said, and I think we can make a good pick. I think we can make a pick as good as anybody else in for the final NBA finals, because you could flip a coin. It's 10 different teams.
It really is. It's just
Well,
gonna be
whatever
kinda
team's
crazy.
coming out of the West is winning the finals.
Really.
I truly don't see any team in the East that can put up with
It's a bold prediction,
the
honestly.
big ballers of the West. So
Okay, I mean, I'm not gonna agree or deny that right now. We'll talk more later. But all right, Ryan. So you're gonna go ahead and read off our first bit of news this week as we get into the NBA. What do you
It's
have?
so we had a bunch of different trade rumors happen at the last kind of end of the free agency period that happened. It's very wrap up, as we all know. Free agency is pretty much done at this point, and there was a big lot of moves in July and near the end of July, but now it's on to August where the NBA free agency falls off. But the latest rumors are that the Denver Nuggets, could be trying to acquire Bradley Beal for Otto Porter Jr., Harris, and a couple draft picks, which would be very interesting to see if Bradley Beal actually goes over and leaves the Wizards finally. And there's also a couple of trade rumors about Kevin Love maybe going to the Spurs in exchange for possibly LaMarcus Aldridge or DeMar DeRozan. Not quite sure if that will happen yet, as Kevin Love currently is not in the best situation in Cleveland, if we are all being honest here. And that's just basically the first one we got, is the NBA end of the free agency trade rumors, because the next ones are these are the biggest ones that are happening right now. Everything else is basically the NBA is now settling after their free agency period and getting ready to go into their summer vacation, pretty much until they go into training camp.
I mean, the way I see it is, if you're the Washington Wizards and you really want to get something out of Beal, you got to trade him this year. You can't wait much longer
Yeah.
because he's going to be in his prime. He's going to be the best he's probably ever been in the next 2 to 3 years. And he's a good player. He shoots pretty well from the three. He's above, I think, 35%. So
Yeah, he is. Well, his
that's
career, yeah.
yeah. But so I mean, that's really good, and he can, if he keeps working on his jumper and everything, he's gonna get even better. But I think the Nuggets need that. They have a lot of good players. They have Jokic. Um, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name. Their point guard. Oh my, this is not good.
I
I'm
can't
dying.
remember it either, but I do know that one thing. Michael Porter, no, that's a small forward. Um, but I do know this about Bradley Beal as a Wizards fan myself, or former Wizards fan mainly. His first few years in the NBA, he was very rough. It was not going as great as many had predicted, but he was still, very young talent. But his last 3 years have been the best productive years of his career. And the last year he played was actually the best year he's had in the NBA. He averaged 25 and a half points. His 3-point percentage went down a little compared to some previous years, but his field goal percentage was the highest. His attempts were the highest. He played the most games. Well, he actually tied for the second year. 82. He played all 82 games. I mean, in terms of minutes played, he even had the highest minutes played as well. His everything was up besides his 3-point percentage. And I think that's kind of like a big selling point right now for the Wizards, is he's going into his prime right now. He's only 25. He'll be going into his prime, and he's already, showing clear signs of indication that he's getting better and better every single year, especially with his points going up per game. So I think this is if the Wizards are going to really command this rebuild that they're trying to do, or whatever they're trying to do with their team, now would be the time to trade him if they're going to, because you're not going to get a better chance than right now.
The Nuggets point guard's Jamal Murray. I can't believe I forgot that.
Jamal Murray, yes.
He had a really good year last year. I kind of feel bad. But I really do. I think that would actually be a good trade for the Nuggets and the Wizards. Maybe the Wizards can try and pry a couple draft picks out, because in all honesty, they need to. They can't get rid of John Wall. His contract is way too bad.
Awful.
It's literally the worst contract in the NBA, followed only by Chris Paul. But Chris got traded, so not really a bad contract for the OKC anymore, because they need somebody to keep their lights on there, and he's going to be the one to do it. But honestly, back to Beal. Beal. I think he's going to be really good, and I think if he goes to the Nuggets, I would have to change my whole playoff picture, because I think the Nuggets ended up second last year in the playoff picture, and the only reason they really didn't go any farther was because they have Jokic, they have Nikola Jokic, who is good. He is a star. He's on his way to be a superstar one day, and I mean he's only getting better. Jamal Murray is going to only get better, but to have that third person who can knock down the three, who can shoot from anywhere on the floor, that would be huge for them.
They also really didn't have any veteran players, anything with a lot of history in the playoffs or whatnot. A very young team still that the Nuggets were and are. So that was another big problem they had.
Yeah, and it's gonna be definitely interesting this year. I actually have a surprising spot for the Nuggets this year. You guys probably will completely disagree with me, but
more than likely.
Yeah, probably. We'll talk about that later, though. But so that's the first trade rumor. You also talked about Kevin Love. Kevin Love kind of getting up there in the age. He's not necessarily what he used to be. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily tell him time to hang him up, but he needs to honestly think about what he is doing in the league now. Because I mean, you're playing on Cleveland. You're not really going anywhere. You were the third star on a big three in Cleveland when you won the championship. You lost two, but you were hurt. I think Love was hurt both of the ones they lost, right? Well, I know he's definitely hurt the first one.
Yeah.
Because he was hurt, then Kyrie got hurt in 2015, and LeBron had to try and carry, but we knew that wasn't happening.
Well, they were all healthy when they won it.
Yeah, when they won, so, but
they won it, or they lost it, won it,
and lost
it.
Yeah, in their 3-year run.
Yeah.
But Love needs to figure out where he is in his career. A lot of people have decided to hang it up early. I'm not saying he needs to do that, but maybe he can find a leadership role spot on another team. If you said the Spurs were trying to get him.
Well, it's rumored that the Spurs had thought about trading him, or at least the Cavs might try to get him out. Somebody like DeMar DeRozan from the Spurs, or LaMarcus Aldridge is something we've also heard of.
I mean, they might try and get Houdini.
Trade.
I mean, K-Love for Houdini.
Aldridge for Kevin Love. I mean, it would be a very amazing trade if the Spurs somehow could get rid of LaMarcus Aldridge and get Kevin Love for that. That's really, really good for.
I think that's a good trade for the Spurs.
Yeah.
Because I mean, why do we call him Houdini? Do you know? Why do we call LaMarcus Aldridge Houdini?
Oh, LaMarcus Aldridge. I actually don't know that one.
We call him Houdini because he disappears in the playoffs.
Oh, that's true. Now I think about
He's a regular season player
in playoffs.
He's a regular season player.
Yeah.
Oh no, I want to see K-Love go back to the T-Wolves.
I think for his retirement that'd be a good idea. But I don't. I think if he still wants to compete, the Spurs are a good spot for him. I mean, he learned from Pop. Pop's always got a good, solid team. But I think the Spurs are honestly in a retool/rebuild, whichever one. Retooling is a lot different than rebuilding. Retooling, you need to figure out. You can make a couple moves and you might be a playoff team again. Yeah. But if you're the Spurs, I mean, the league is shifting in a different direction than the way they've always won their championships. The league is now a 3-point shooting league. They don't necessarily have the best 3-point shooters, but they can do it at a good pace. Yeah. But is it really enough in this league now because everybody's able to do it?
That's true. And more about like just from like I think the specific two teams that the main trades have been talked about is with Aldridge, his contract's still pretty huge in terms of like, or he's not, his contract is small compared to Kevin Love, who's still going to be earning 118 million over the next 4 years.
Oh my.
And yeah, but and so is DeRozan, who's going to be having I believe a small, he's a free agent next year as well. So if the Spurs could manage to like get rid of Aldridge and get rid of Aldridge, who's 34, he's 3 years. I think he's might even be 4 years older than Kevin Love at this point. Get rid of him, send him to Cleveland, and then give Cleveland LaMarcus Aldridge, and then have DeRozan, who's still, a very good player, and just take Kevin Love and as kind of just like a veteran presence more so, and better than Aldridge in some ways, not always. Although here's the problem with Kevin Love is that he only played in 22 games last season. He did average 17 points, but his shooting was way down. And yeah, so like in general, I think if Kevin Love does want to leave Cleveland, if he does, that's pretty good fit for him in the Spurs, because they shift their offense a lot around their players, who comes in, who doesn't, especially who leaves and who goes. So I think he would find it better there than the Cleveland, who's trying to rebuild. And if Cleveland brings in Aldridge on a trade, it would be more so like a very veteran presence for their young talent that they're developing, less so than Kevin Love, who still has actual talent that he's trying to produce with a team. And I think Aldridge is on his way out quicker than Kevin Love will be.
Okay. What do you see?
I mean, there's a 3-year difference between the two. Aldridge is 34 and K Love's 31. So you get a little bit more out of Kevin Love than you would LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah, I mean, but Love's hurt so much, so it's kind of like, I'm saying, it's putting mileage on him. Yeah, it's putting mileage on his body and everything. I mean, these guys run up and down the court. Basketball is definitely a lot harder than people think. I mean, it's a lot of sprinting and running.
Yeah,
I think it was Bradley Beal ran because, I mean, he's having to carry the Wizards on his back. I think they said he was running the most out of any player in the league. He was running up and down the court the most, and I can't remember how many. Like, there's like miles.
Which is kind of crazy to think when you still have point guards in the league who are supposed to be technically that player who runs up and down the most.
Well, I mean, when Wall got hurt, Beal was basically that, so it makes sense.
It does.
But then, like, on to our last one that we kind of looked at, Iguodala. Right. I mean, Iguodala, the way I think it's going to happen, I think because he plays for the Grizz right now after being traded from the Warriors, right? Mm-hmm. So I think the way he's going
to Warriors and then went to the Grizzlies.
I think they're going to let him go. I don't think they really can get much out of him for a trade. Sorry, I had a hiccup. That really hurt. I don't know what they can really get out of him. Like, well, when you trade somebody who's, I mean, he's been in the league a long time.
Yeah.
He's playing with AI when AI was in the league. That's pretty long.
Still good on the Sixers.
The years,
yeah, right.
Mainly just for Iguodala himself, there seems to be only one team super interested in him right now. Now, I'm sure a bunch of teams are, but there's one team specifically that he's apparently spoken to some sources or however it works and said he would be most interested in the Lakers right now. Lakers still have one roster spot remaining, their final roster spot. Mm-hmm. And they are holding it. The GM of the Lakers, the new manager, said they're going to hold they plan to keep their final roster spot open for a possible buyout or trade candidate. So it seems to most people in the league are thinking that they are hoping Iguodala and the Grizzlies can come to an agreement with the Grizzlies and Iguodala to probably get that last spot B for them, so they'd have a reliable sixth man to come off the bench.
Well, that's kind of like their roster's all over the place, like the Lakers roster. It's not necessarily a bad thing, their roster, because they are a veterans roster, but they're very old. So, I mean, in my opinion, I think the Lakers need to have Kuzma come off the bench as a sixth man and just control the second unit. But I think picking up Iguodala would be their... Not necessarily. I'm not saying he's their only option, but he is their best option for that last roster spot, because he would shore up the defense, he would build a brick wall there, because that's what he does. He's a good two-way player, but he's not obviously the best. But that's what the Lakers need because they've got so much. I mean, I know Boogie doesn't like to play defense. AD's good. AD will play defense. Kuzma plays defense when he wants to. LeBron's getting there up there in age. He's not gonna play defense unless he really wants to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jared Dudley, he's not much of a defender. He's kind of older. He's a good sharpshooter. He's a shooter.
Unfortunately,
but he's old too.
That's true. Unfortunately for the Lakers, though, it seems like they might have a big issue getting Iguodala. Is because apparently somebody reported that the Grizzlies are expected to hold on to him unless they can get at least a first-round pick in return for him.
That's not.
And there's so few teams who have that can offer a first-round pick that they might not get that. So it could happen. It could happen that he could be just bought out entirely by the Lakers. That's another option.
But, you mean by the Grizz?
Or yeah, by the Grizzlies. But again, at the same time, I don't see Iguodala being worth the first round pick. Maybe to some teams if they're desperate, but I don't think he'll be first round pick material since so few teams even have that option.
Yeah, I agree. You got any input on that, Dan?
No, y'all covered it all without me even having to pitch it once.
True.
I mean, like also he would be a good fit for Houston because they need somebody who's going to actually play D on that team. I think surprisingly, James Harden plays defense when he wants to, but he has, I believe he led the league in deflections, which is just like tip passes and stuff. But even then, that's not enough. Like, they need somebody who is going to play defense.
Yeah.
Which they play a different style of basketball compared to everybody else. They play Mike D'Antoni's 7-second offense. Like, get down there, put up it's either close to or long three. Well, not necessarily long three, but either a close two or a three. We're not shooting that mid-range game. So, there's that. But on to the next one. Melo's return. This is just, it was rumored. It never really happened. It's not necessarily going to happen. But apparently, it was a thought process that Melo would want to come back to the league. And as D-Wade had a going away parade, basically, he went to every team, had jersey swaps, like hung out with everybody. Melo kind of, I guess it was a rumor that he thought he might be coming back to do that, and he said, "Man, maybe I deserve one too."
Well, the thing about Melo is that I think he, in terms of like the comeback tour that you're talking about, where like Kobe had one, and then other players like Dwayne Wade has one, obviously, but Kobe was still on the team at that time, and Dwayne Wade is getting one, ever had one. The thing about Melo is that it's reported basically that he doesn't want a comeback tour, as he's calling it. As people are calling it, he basically says he wants to play for a championship title. He's not trying to just come back for like, one last season or anything. He went on apparently the ESPN show First Take, and he said that I love the game too much to get away from it. This is not limited to a 1-year retirement tour either. I've never even thought about a farewell tour. I thought about this being my last year, but that was at a low point in time last year. Now I feel like I could still play. I know I could still play, and my peers know I could still play. So he clearly still wants to fight for a championship, and apparently he's tried to contact the Lakers and the Knicks, the Thunder, the Lakers and the Clippers and the Nets for people who are contending for a title this next year to try to get on somehow. But I feel like even if he managed to get onto a team, the role he would play at this point would be so little that I think, given Melo as we all know him, would hate it. And I think he's probably gotten that idea, but at the same time, I think it's hard for him to accept that his just years are probably done.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, he was cut from the Rockets. I mean, and he's supposed to be some great sharpshooter. I mean, he's not. He's a shell of his former self. He really is.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him because he was a great player. But, I mean, he's not going to the Clippers. The Clippers don't honestly want him, I think. The Clippers are set on where they're going to, be. They know they're going to be a good team. They know they're going to make a championship run. But they don't need Melo to go where they're going to go this year. I mean, maybe the Lakers are holding out that last spot for Melo.
Yeah, it could be. I don't see them unless maybe LeBron wants him on the team for some reason. I really don't see it happening because it just seems like it seems like he would be. I think Iguodala would be better used for that role in terms of like what the Lakers want in general. But also, it just seems like for the fan base especially, you kind of bring him in just to say, even if he doesn't want it to be a farewell tour, I think the fans of any team are still going to treat it like one, just because they know nobody really wants him. They're just trying to give him respect. So it's like he'll get mad at the fact that they are treating it like that, and it's like a pity. Yeah, exactly. It's like a pity deal, and it's like it's going to be bad for almost everyone, because the fans are going to see it as, okay, this is just, your farewell tour, blah blah blah. You've been a great player, but he's not going to like that, and he's going to get mad at that. And then he'll probably resent the fans start to resent him, and it just goes bad. And I don't think it's really good for anyone. And I get he wants to play for a championship title, but he isn't on that level that he was ever. And he's never won one, of course, so he doesn't have that feeling of winning a championship. So I get why he wants to, but you gotta know when like your time is up. And sometimes people just don't win championships. There are great players throughout basketball history who've never won a championship. It happens.
Charles Barkley.
AI.
Exactly.
And Barkley was dominant.
Yeah,
and AI changed the game too.
He did.
Like they're both like transcendent talents, and they've never won.
Yeah, it's sad day. It's just it's something I think Carmelo, if he somehow does get on a team, good for him. But I don't see it happening, just because I think there's going to be too much issues with it. And sure, he can be a mature guy sometimes, but I think he will bring, especially for a contending team, he'll bring an unnecessary burden on your team. And if you're a contending team up there in the top 5, you don't need that. You don't want that. And the Lakers have pretty much already stated they're not. They've already, like the general manager just said, they had no actual want to. They have no plans to add him to their team.
Well, I mean, there you go. If he comes back, he comes back. We'll see.
If he somehow gets on a team, then good for him.
Yeah, right. So, next thing, before we get to... So, our last one's going to be what I put in our chat, today. But for now, we're getting the Lakers coaching situation. They hired, basically, 2 head coaches.
Yeah, this is a confusing one.
It's like, I don't know why. I understand LeBron's friends with Jason's kid, but why hire Frank Vogel as your head coach and Jason Kidd as your assistant when they say Jason doesn't want to be a head coach? He does. I think he does. It could go both ways.
I can only imagine it's hard for him to be added as a former head coach on a team, and then added under as an assistant coach on such a high publicity team like the Lakers. It's hard. I think it would be hard for him in his mind to go from head coach all the way down to assistant coach on such a public team, such a high, view count team that gets so many people, has a huge fan base, and gets so many people watching him every game. So I don't know. You could look at it in the terms of with Frank Vogel, he's a good coach. He's had plenty of success in the NBA. Jason Kidd didn't really have that much success.
But Jason hasn't coached as long.
And he definitely hasn't coached as long, obviously. But I think it's kind of interesting. He's the highest paid assistant coach in the NBA. So
that's pretty bad.
I don't exactly know what the Lakers were necessarily thinking. Maybe they wanted 2 different perspectives, 2 head coach perspectives. Maybe they could morph into one or something. I don't really understand it myself, because I don't understand the Lakers managing office, because it's changed.
They're all
so
over the place.
Much. They've changed. Their GM has changed. I mean, Magic Johnson left, who was the current. I think it was either president or GM. I can't remember which one he was.
President of basketball.
So he was president. So they have a new president. They have a new GM. They have a new head coach. Their whole front office is
their whole system is just beyond the whole screwed.
So for me, it's I don't really know what they're doing. But 2 head coaches, or 2 people who have been former head coaches in the last few years of the NBA, as one's right above you and then one's the assistant, it's going to be interesting. I don't know. What do you think?
Just going to say this real quick. Vogel, in his past 4 years of coaching, losing record.
Right.
All but one. If you went your record of winning records, so you're 1 for 3.
Now, is that
3 losing seasons?
No, you got to also look at the teams he was given, roster wise. If the teams are decent,
that was Indiana PG. He was down 3.
Pacers. So
then Orlando.
in Orlando. So
Yeah, he
Orlando's
didn't
been
have hardly
horrible for a
anything in
few
Yeah,
Orlando.
years
but
now, so you can't
I
really
mean,
fault him that much
still,
for that. But yeah, last few
you
years
don't
Frank
you don't go
Vogel hasn't done
from
much.
you don't go from failure to success like that just because
He
if
just
you're given
he has a
good
great
coaches with
roster to
a
work with,
bad
though.
team can still do something.
True. He
I
does have a
mean,
great roster to
I'm
work
looking
with.
at this situation like if Frank Vogel isn't living up to the hype, they're gonna let him go, and Jason Kidd's gonna step in.
Do you think
That's what I
they'll
think.
halfway
That's
through
the
the year?
main purpose.
I think you're right. I think Jason Kidd's there to put a fire under Vogel's seat and be like, "You're on a hot seat from day one. Let's go."
I think they just want to give Vogel a chance to see what he can do.
Almost
Yeah.
And if he does not live up to it, then Jason Kidd's going to take a spot.
Yeah,
And they
I
might
can
flip
agree with
flop. You know,
that.
Vogel
So
might become the assistant
Vogel will
coach.
go to assistant, and then yeah,
almost
I mean-
like they're trying to see if what he can do with a fully stacked roster like the Lakers have, and if he doesn't do what they should, their on paper potential should be, then Jason Kidd's like, okay, then they say basically step in and take over
yeah.
because
That's
they know
what I
how
think.
good their team should be. So this is basically like the Lakers saying, look, you have a great team. If you do bad, it's on you. It's not on us.
Yeah.
Yep.
They set themselves up to be in a good place. They're not the best team, but they're in a good place to where if they make the playoffs, they're gonna make a deep run, in my opinion. But we'll get to that in a little
Lots
while.
of potential.
Yeah, definitely. The last one thing for news, it was actually today or maybe yesterday.
No, it was today.
It was today. Okay. Draymond got a 4-year, $100 million contract. What
That
are
is-
y'all's opinions on this? Because I have my own. And
I'll let
probably
Dan go
won't
first.
agree
I've
with
gone
me.
first most of the time.
Yeah, you can go down.
I don't agree with the $100 million.
He was getting a max deal no matter what. Because of how long
I
he's
don't
been
agree
there.
with that. Don't get me wrong. Draymond Green is the heart and soul of the Warriors team. Like, no doubt about it.
You can't deny it.
Like, he's just a motor that runs that car.
And it doesn't stop.
And yeah, exactly. It doesn't stop. Like, he's a great defensive player. He can score if he needs to.
Not
But-
the best, but he can do it.
Well, I don't agree that he should have gotten a 4-year, $100 million contract because I don't think he's worth $100 million. If he would have got, like, 50, 60,
Oh, okay.
70,
He's gonna get a little more
70's
than that.
pushing it.
He's probably going to get a little more than that.
Well-
Because, I mean, that team, I'll say this much. I'm not a Warriors fan, but that team was built around Steph, Clay, and Dre.
Very true.
Like, they built through the draft for those three players to be good. And they produced. They produced championships.
They did.
And a couple of them. So, I mean, I understand Steph getting his max. I understand Clay getting his max. Draymond, I think it's honestly going to kill their chances to win for what they did. Because
So
you give them, I agree with Dan in the sense that the money is too much. If you want to keep winning championships, you gotta be willing to like take the pay cut or something so you can build.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
exactly. It is true. And so it's kind of interesting that you bring that up because especially what Dan said with the max contract that he got at the current time. He had actually, before he got in this contract, he had put out a word probably at the end of the season or at some time that he was not going to accept a discount on his next contract just because Steph and Clay got paid so much, right?
Well, the thing
And
is,
also Kevin
wha-
Durant had his big deal and whatnot. But he
Well,
was
you
not gonna
talk about
accept the
that.
contract, and he wanted to get his supermax deal, where if he would have held out till next summer, excuse me, if he would have held out to next summer and had either made an All NBA team or he had won Defensive Player of the Year, he would have been eligible to get his supermax contract. Would have been $238 million over 5 years, which would have been the highest paid
Ridiculous.
contract in the NBA if he had held out and somehow, either gotten All NBA or Defensive Player of the Year, which he could have done. But the biggest thing is that he's known for this rebellious personality where he has these big outbursts in game, right? And he gets technical fouls and ejections quite a lot. But what's kind of interesting to me is he didn't put this big weighted drama over the Warriors throughout the whole year. Like, are they going to re-sign him? Is he going to make them wait to make them force a supermax contract in 2020 or something like that for over 200 million or something? Because if they had waited till 2020, he would have had to been paid close to 204 million over 5 years, almost guaranteed, because another team could have easily offered that. And so
Yeah.
he kind of just settled for a 4-year, $100 million when he could have probably gotten, had he waited another year, another $100 million on top of that in another year, almost guaranteed. So it's very interesting because his personality is like this rebellious type of person where he gets a lot of things, technicals, ejections, whatnot. He's outspoken, very outspoken, but he kind of did the reverse in this situation where he saved the Warriors a big headache by signing to a 4-year, only $100 million max, which is still $100 million, but it's not what he had the potential to get had he waited another year. But that also means there's going to be a lot of drama, a lot of people asking questions. Why aren't you guys re-signing him? Why aren't you guys offering him more money? Why is he not joining? Stuff like that.
So, I mean, the Warriors, the only space they really have left, they don't need it. Don't get me wrong. They definitely don't need the space they have left right now. They've got a pretty solid roster already.
Yeah.
I believe what I'm reading is $666,000, $667. God, there's too many sixes. Good Lord.
Just be happy that 7 is there, not a 6.
Oh, yeah. That's a lot of sixes.
Yeah.
But exactly. But that's going to put them in cap hell the next couple of years. That's what I was worried about.
And they had to pay D'Angelo Russell as well.
Yeah, that was a bad pickup in my opinion.
That's an interesting pickup. I'm not 100% on that. I think it's good temporarily speaking.
Yeah, I really hope they just decide to move him.
I think they're going to probably have to trade him. It's either sometime during the season or after this season, because they're simply just not going to have room for a star of his level with all the people they have. And like, he doesn't fit the Kevin Durant position where he was a good small forward and could mix well with the starting 3 that they had originally. He's a Klay Thompson-esque player, and sometimes like Steph as well. So it's going to be, I think they're going to have to make a move with him at some point, but we'll have to see what they do.
Yeah.
And he's certainly not a bench player.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Even though when Klay comes back, he probably will be a bench player.
It have to be.
Yeah, unless they move. To be pretty much.
I mean, Klay's 6'7".
He could play the small.
He could play the 3.
But do you want him to play the small?
No, he's got too much of a jumper from outside the perimeter to play small.
Yeah, but other than Draymond, he's the second best defensive player they have.
Yeah, that's true.
So he can lock down any of the other small forwards in the league.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I do not argue with that. I think it's
not at all.
I think getting this contract, as kind of wild as it does seem, if you're a Warriors fan, you're a big fan of this, because now you don't have to worry about signing Draymond Green for the next year. That's not a big problem. You have him locked down for 4 years. Also, you're not paying him $200+ million, which was potentially what you might have to if you waited to sign him next year, or even 151 if he signed somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
And but if you're a general person most people who aren't Warriors fans tend to not like Draymond Green that much, just because of how his personality is.
He's very he has a lot of outbursts that I think if I was a coach or a GM, I'd look at him and say he's kind of like, he's not as bad as Boogie, but you know how Boogie has his outbursts and they get a lot of texts, and you get you have problems on and off the court, and you got them sitting there chirping at each other, yelling insults. I'm like, look, dude, we're here to play basketball. Let's play basketball. I mean, for me, if I was a GM, I'd look at that and be like, that's a couple cuts, because I can't have you cost me games. I can't have you cost, because in all honesty, the reason they probably lost that series of the Cavs when they were playing them in the finals is because Draymond had to sit out 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
So he cost him a championship, really.
In a way, yeah, you can say he did cost him a championship with how much he was out there in the finals.
He didn't do it again, don't get me wrong, but I'd look at him and say, you cost me there, that's going to cost you a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be mean to him. It's just, if I was a GM, that's the way I look at it.
If you're Golden State, that's what you want. If you're Golden State, you're happy right now, because you got one of your star players locked down without having to overpay him that much. I mean, $100 million, some people might say is overpaid for him because his 3 points fallen off and he was hurt a lot and stuff like that. Maybe also his attitude, blah, blah, blah. Some people might say he's overpaid, but for what people could have offered him and how good he has been the past few years, you locked him in at a cheaper rate than you would probably had you waited one more year.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I think for Golden State's front office, they're going to be happy. For everyone else, it's probably just like Well, you missed out on the biggest potential free agent of next year, so that kind of sucks for everyone else because there's not a huge free agent class next year. It's just not going to be many. But that's it's great for the Warriors for what they have. They're going to have a big problem in a couple years when the contracts start coming up, though. That's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the next few years after all the contracts are done, and we'll see what unlocks.
I think
they're going to be in trouble.
They have Draymond and Clay locked down for longer than they have Steph, I believe.
They do. Steph's contract is a shorter contract.
Or not, sorry, not Steph.
So much money.
You said Clay. My bad. You're right, though.
Yeah.
You are right. That was my fault. So those are those topics, but real quick before we move on, thinking about trades, what do the Knicks... Oh, the Knicks keep signing power forwards. What is going on? That was also in our trade rumor point in the one article we read. They're like, they need to trade every single power forward that they got that is not named Julius Randle.
No, they need to trade Julius Randle.
That's the only thing they're going to get actual something out of. But even then, that's kind of pushing it.
Yeah, it's
They don't have a single.
I'm not a huge. My basketball knowledge does not extend that high to the Knicks in general. I didn't follow them that much. Obviously, I know their biggest signings, but the Knicks with what they have with Julius Randle and Bobby Portis,
they're not doing anything. That's for sure.
Sorry.
They're not doing anything. That's for sure.
Yeah, I haven't really seen. I gotta be honest. Bobby Portis didn't do much as a Bull. I don't remember doing much, and Julius Randle hasn't done much in quite a while, especially when he was on the Lakers. Big contract for him though for what he did do. I guess his Pelican stats were pretty nice though, 21 points per game. So
good.
He came back as a Pelican, but well, I'm interested to see if Bobby Portis actually somehow gets better compared to what he did as a Bull and as a Wizard apparently last year as well. I didn't even know he was on the Wizards, but I'm interested to see if, because the Knicks their lineup is just it is what it is, right? So you're not going to get much difference over it. But I don't know, what do you think, Dan, in terms of what they need to do with what they have?
Oh, that could take a while.
That could be a whole episode on its own.
Yeah, for real. We could do a whole episode just on the Knicks, and I guarantee it'd probably take us 5 hours to go through everything.
They have problems.
Dude, it's
everybody talks about how James Dolan is the issue, which they're not wrong. The owner of the Knicks, if you don't know,
he should sell the Knicks.
He needs to get out. I don't know what is going on. And then I don't know what they're doing in the front office. Yeah, let's sign every single power forward we can. The Spurs were about to sign, I believe it's Marcus Morris. And they were just about to be like, oh yeah, we got it. The Spurs went, we got him. And he went, nah, bro, I'm going to go play with the Knicks.
I just know that the Knicks are on a bad downhill slide.
They're going to be last in the league again.
I don't really know what they need to turn that team around because there's just
they've
so
been like
many
this for
things.
so many years now. It's not really something that's all of a sudden happened in the last year or two. This has been like a constant downward progression ever since pretty much. I don't remember the biggest point and then when it really started to turn. I'm sure NBA gurus could tell me, but they're kind of like the laughingstock of the NBA in the last few years. They have been, really. If you look at it, all their decisions they made, everyone they've signed has basically either not done what they were supposed to or not been nearly as good as they were supposed to be. Kyrie being I'm probably getting that wrong. I think Kyrie was a Celtic, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, he was a Celtic. So
he wanted. They almost went to the Knicks. Him and
right. That's right. He was almost went to the Knicks and then he went to the Celtics instead. But other names that they were trying to get, they were trying to get Durant. They were trying to get Kyrie. That's what I was thinking. They were trying to get Kyrie and Durant, and they couldn't do that. They went to probably their biggest rival in the Nets.
The Nets are by far New York's team now.
It's not just an extension of their inward problems in signing. It's also their inability to sign big names. Nobody seems to want to come to them right now.
I mean, the last time they signed big names, it was Melo, D-Rose, and Joakim Noah.
Right, exactly.
And that wasn't even... I mean, I think they made the playoffs, but even then, they just
they even missed out on
nothing.
They haven't made the playoffs since 2013.
I'm pretty sure that's when they played together.
Yeah.
No, 2013, I believe, is when it was one of LeBron's last years with the Heat. and they played the Heat in the first round, I think.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it was still when they had Melo, D-Rose, and...
Oh, yeah, that's when they had Melo.
Well, but they didn't do anything with it. That's what I said. Their last championship was in 73.
It has been quite a while.
It's 36 years.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm wrong.
Has it not been?
46.
46. That's so much better. But I mean,
they're coming up on how bad the Cubs were.
Just look at all the big names they missed out on, right? They had so much, potential with Kevin Durant and Kyrie, but then they also had there was Jimmy Butler who went to the Heat. You have Klay Thompson who re-signed with the Warriors instead. Kemba who went to the Celtics over him. And they're just all they have are the young core, their young talent, which is talent. They have RJ Barrett, who's probably going to be a great player, assuming he does what he's
got to grow, but he'll be good.
He'll be a good player, I think. They signed Mitchell. They drafted Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Knox, and some other players as well. But they are just basically purely young and then old. It's literally young and old talent.
They have zero people who are like really in their prime.
No, yeah, exactly. That's their biggest problem is they have no prime players. They have no one
because they can't keep anybody in their prime.
Who wants to stay there?
Exactly. They have so much inner turmoil in their front office, and they've had it for so many years. And people are probably, I'm sure there's rumors going around all across the league of people who have played for New York and played for the Knicks and say, "Don't go here. This is a horrible front office." Blah blah blah.
That's why that's why Kyrie and KD didn't go there, is because they said. Well, they said, "Oh, we're not gonna offer Kevin Durant the contract, the max."
Yeah.
Because they were like, "We don't know what his injury history is. We can't. Nah, man, you gotta bite that bullet. If Kevin Durant is hurt forever, then so be it. But if he's not, you're getting what is possibly the best player in the NBA."
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying, Dan, I understand. I saw you roll your head. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying could be the best player if he's not hurt, and
I just don't
LeBron
see
LeBron keeps falling off.
If you're the Knicks,
defense is underrated.
He needs to play better defense.
I mean, you look at it to me. If you're the Knicks, you have so much money coming in from free advertising just by your location, right? You're such a popular team, like the
you
Lakers.
Play in MSG.
You play in
more
Madison freaking Square Garden. You're in downtown New York. You have the payroll. I'm assuming the money to do this. You have the ability to get these players. You're not limited to only what problems you create yourself. So if there's personal problems that you're creating yourself, that's an upper management issue. That's an owner issue. That's something the owner should have fixed a long time ago. And if he's not fixing it, if he doesn't care enough to fix it, then he should resign or transfer ownership to someone else at this point.
Or the league needs to step in and say, "All right, you're not doing this anymore."
Yeah, exactly.
But so
the only thing the league can do is force him to sell it.
But again,
is that what they did to Philly? Because they didn't want Philly to keep tanking. They said
that's what they did to what's his face, the Clippers owners.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I believe
that racist crap that was going on. They forced him to sell it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. But that was on a different issue, like you were mentioning. That wasn't just like a handling issue.
So real quick before we move on, are the Knicks worst team in the league? Will they have the worst record? Will they have the worst record?
Will they have the worst record? They're playing in the East, which is extremely hard conference this year.
West is worse, just saying. Like the West is like
there's a really good chance they could, but I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no, they don't.
All right, who is then? Who's the worst?
I'm going to say it's a mixture between three teams.
It's hard because I want to almost say. Go ahead.
It's the Knicks, the Hornets.
Yeah, because they didn't get anybody in all
and
season.
The Cavs. The Knicks, the Hornets, and the Cavs, I think are going to be tied for the worst team in the league.
Kemba really did carry the Hornets. I think you're
Knicks,
right.
The Hornets, and
but
the Cavs. I have no arguments about any of those teams. The only one I'd say could be up there as well is honestly the Wizards, because if they lose Bradley Beal, that's such a huge
John Wall's
chunk.
gone. Yeah,
John Wall who's gone. That the Wizards could easily be down there in the bottom pit of the East. There's just they have nothing right now.
They are the pits of hell.
Exactly.
That's what they are.
I mean, they could. That's what I was thinking. It was like the Wizards. I was looking at the Hornets as well. When you asked me, it's like all these teams are basically irrelevant because there's so many better teams than them, and there's so many teams that are going to be even the average level teams who have average mediocre talent at best. will be destroying these teams. So I mean, there's really no. I wouldn't say there's much hope for any of the teams we just mentioned.
I agree. Okay, so
all right, let's get into the fun stuff.
let's get into the main topic here. We're actually going to start with the Eastern Conference.
All right.
Because the West for all of us is going to be up in the air and different, as I've learned with Dan. But the East, let's start out with our number one pick. Who do you guys have as the number one pick in the East? This is making our playoff in order, starting from 1, going to 8. Who is number 1 for y'all in the East?
So
Milwaukee.
I'll let Dan go first because mine's kind of difficult to comprehend.
My number 1 is I'm going with Milwaukee because I love Giannis. He's our former MVP. There's no way he don't carry that team to be another number 1 overall seed in the playoffs.
I think Giannis needs to work on his jumper before that happens. He's what happened in the playoffs is we saw it when he played the Raptors. When he played them, they locked down the middle, and to be fair, it wasn't just him that needed to hit shots. Everybody there needs to hit shots. But if Giannis, I'm saying he could be the most unstoppable player in the East. If he just got his jumper down, I'm saying he's started getting it down. I'm saying he gets it consistent. He's shooting 30% from the 3.
Yeah.
33%. He is the most unstoppable player in the league and is the best player in the league.
Yep.
Because he'll play defense, he'll play offense like better than almost anybody.
Yeah.
He's unstoppable.
I agree with that, but like I said, once he gets that jumper down, I'll say they'll be the first pick. But
the Milwaukee Bucks are the number 1 seed in the 2019 playoffs.
What do you have?
Milwaukee Bucks,
2019-2020 playoffs.
They look the same. They didn't do anything I wouldn't say they did anything huge in the offseason, right? They added Robin Lopez and Wesley Matthews. They did lose Malcolm Brogdon and Nikola Mirotic, which are kind of big players. We'll have to see.
Mirotic was a nice stretch.
Yeah, they had the reason they were so good, everyone says, is because of their strong bench. Now, I didn't watch many Milwaukee games throughout the season. In fact, I barely watched the NBA Finals at all last year. But when I did, I saw 2 things. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Giannis. I don't think he's an incredible player like everyone is. I do think he has talent. I know.
Whoa.
I know.
Dan's about to go off.
I know.
I
don't think Giannis is as good as everyone says he is. I definitely don't think he's the best player in the NBA, as everyone said he was last year. But I think he has no real. Anyway, I'll save that for another day. But the answer
has no real what? You better say it. You just held everybody.
I just think for everything he has, that his talent, he has no real jump shot outside range wise. He has no real, especially when I was watching the finals, he was against a heavily defended team like the Warriors. He was getting shut.
Whoa. You mean the Raptors?
I mean the Raptors. Sorry. Apologies. Against a team that was defending him really well. And against any defense, he seems to get shut down on the perimeter at all. He doesn't seem to shoot well. And that was something that a lot of pressure was put onto him during the finals. And I think that's something that he has a big problem with, as you were mentioning, is his shooting game in general when it comes to heavy defense. And all stars, superstars, have to be able to contend with heavy defense and still shoot well. That is something you have to do if you're going to win a finals. That is something you have to contend with. And so as good as a player as he is, as unique a player as he is, being a tall point guard, being athletically gifted and able to just jump over people and dunk on their face pretty much, he has to work on that other side of his game more to the point where he's able to shoot better. But to answer your question, I don't think the Bucks are going to be the number 1 team in the East. In fact, I'm going to go a little weird one on this. I think it's going to be the 76ers.
No, that's who I picked.
Oh, you picked them over? Okay, so I'm not the only one who picked them. So I think the 76ers come out and they dominate with a bunch of young, really good talent, and bringing Al Horford in was huge. I think
they brought in Josh Hart too off that trade from Jimmy Butler.
Exactly.
And I think getting rid of Jimmy was a
horrible mistake.
No, it was a little bit better. And because Jimmy wants his own team, and the Sixers are Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid's team. He's not going to be, and that's what he came out and said. He said he wants his own team. I think getting Josh Richardson, great pick, because what happens? You bring in Josh Richardson, he's a 3-and-D who will play decent. He's not going to be great, but he'll come in, he'll knock down the threes, and I think signing Tobias Harris to an extension was great.
That's the stupidest contract in the league.
5
Oh,
years,
What was it? 5 year, $190 million contract?
for
180,
Harris?
but yeah, it was 180.
I think okay, I agree with the contract was a little over the
Contract's a
top.
bit high, but they
He
had
needs
to because he could have easily been targeted by another team, and that was such a key addition to their team as well.
Yeah,
But
it was
I
huge.
think the 76ers finally showed this year why they are going to be such a devastating team. I think the young talent, as good as they were last year, I think they like rise up even higher this year. I think because they have such good talent, right? Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Al Horford, Tobias Harris, Josh Richardson. All these players are going to come and they're going to. I think they're molded really well, and I think it basically shows up. Even the Bucks with all their Giannis and all his talent that he
Well,
brings and
the
all
Bucks
that.
lost Brogdon too, so
That's
that was
true,
kind of
exactly. They didn't really do and say much like the 76ers did in terms of building up their team, I think. And I think the 76ers young talent goes into their prime. When you start to see young talent actually develop into it what it's supposed to be. I think that's why the 76ers achieve a higher level than they have in very long in the past years. And I think they get up to that 60 win threshold as well.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't have them going that far. I've got them in the high 50s, but I really think it's not because of anybody else, but I think it's because I was on Twitter and I saw Ben Simmons working on his jump shot.
Yeah.
That's huge for me because that everybody knows that thing was broken.
If he can start knocking down threes, he'll be a monster.
He'd be good. They'll be set because then you have Joel, who if he's open, he'll knock it down. You got Ben Simmons, who now if he starts making jumpers, it's like you saw last year in some of the clips. If you watch some of his highlights when he's just dribbling the ball up the court, people just sitting there standing in the paint, hand on their hips, like looking at him, like you go ahead and do it. I've got a better chance of getting that board, and they're like 6 foot tall.
Exactly.
They're like, I got a better chance of out rebounding Joel Embiid than you do at hitting this shot.
Right, exactly. So that brings us to the question in the East of where would you put the Nets now?
The Nets?
The Brooklyn Nets.
KD's not coming back.
I know.
KD's not coming back this year.
I know.
Which today I did read also that they're not necessarily saying he's out for the whole year. They're not saying that, but everybody really knows it's like, yeah, you're not coming back.
Anyway, I do think though that still with the addition of Kyrie, it becomes they because they were 42 and 40 last year, right? They're basically mid-pack, lower, a bit lower than 4. They were number 6 in the East, right? 6 in the East, not barely made the playoffs, but they were in the playoffs by just about a game. I think they get better, but I don't think they're at that threshold where it's like, oh wow, they can contend with a top team. Like without KD, they're not going to be beating the Bucks. They're not going to be beating the 76ers. I doubt it.
No.
And I don't think they even get to the I don't know. I don't know what I would say about the rest of the teams, but I don't think they get to.
I think it depends on who they play.
Yeah, exactly.
If they play somebody like if they play the Raptors, I think they can do it. The Raptors are falling out.
Yeah.
They have
with the loss of Kawhi.
Yeah, no, the Raptors, in my opinion, I've still got them in the playoffs, but I'll say where later. For my number 2 pick, do you have the Sixers as your 2, Dan? Who's your 2 pick, real quick?
Oh, see.
Uh-oh. All right, real quick, I've got the Bucks as my 2 pick.
The Bucks. Okay.
Yeah.
See, y'all might throw some hate my way with this.
I swear if you say the Celtics.
But yes, I think the Celtics will be the number 2 seed in the East.
Really?
No, the Sixers will. They're gonna.
I think Kemba fits in with that roster perfectly.
I think Kemba's better than Kyrie in that roster. I agree with that.
Interesting.
But Jason Tatum is getting better every year.
Mm-hmm.
Gordon Hayward, if we can get
if the Celtics can get him back, I think.
That's
see,
true.
I've got the Celtics at my 3. Those are my top 3: the Sixers, Bucks, and then Celtics.
The Celtics have a
whole
hell of a lot of potential.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with it.
I just don't know if that Gordon Hayward has never been like the healthiest of people, but when he plays, he is stunning to watch to play because he just doesn't look like he should be that good, but he plays out of his mind.
Oh yeah,
and
I don't get it.
I don't know how he does it, but he's incredibly gifted at basketball to be able to do that. But out of all the teams, I think I had second. I had the Bucks as well, just because I don't think they fall off hardly at all. But I do think it'll be a little bit. But I think with the 76ers and Bucks are going to be neck and neck the whole way. I think. I guess I probably. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I actually had the Nets at 3, which is
You think
probably
Kyrie
a bit
coming in?
higher than I probably should put them.
Now that
But
you really look at it, you're like, okay, maybe
well,
not.
I thought about it a bit
But the
more.
thing
But
is, without KD, I don't see them being.
yeah,
that
they're gonna
high
be
up.
they're gonna be obviously
They're in my
worse
bottom
till
half.
KD gets there, but I don't think they're at the bottom because here's the thing: Kyrie had a horrible year at the Celtics, right? He did not do what they brought him in for, and that was really bad. But I think he's gonna have a fire lit under his ass, and that he also has KD there. He knows he'll have KD there eventually.
He's like, I got KD coming in. I'm just gonna play the best I can.
I think he gets almost like a reason to play again, sort of.
You think he was kind of lost knowing that the Celtics necessarily didn't like him, and he was like making all the wrong moves, and the people wouldn't follow him as a leader.
And I think that
Okay.
now that he has someone to support him, as kind of like LeBron did when he was on Cleveland, I think with that boost in confidence, I think he starts playing like he used to when he was on Cleveland. And I think we see a resurgence of Kyrie, maybe even to the point where they get top 5. And I'm maybe not 3, but I'm thinking at least top 5 in the East.
His supporting cast this year isn't that good, in my opinion.
Not as good, sure.
Once KD comes back,
but once KD comes back,
I'll agree with
on
you.
when, I think
he's not coming back this year.
But I think
he won't be back for.
I think one person can carry teams. I mean, we've seen it. It's happened before. Whether or not he can do it in the East is up for debate.
But when Kawhi did it last year, it was because of the team built around him. That caliber of a team the Raptors had was good.
Yeah.
Plus, they also had a lot of breaks go their way.
That's true.
Literally breaks.
And I
think the only reason LeBron did it was because he can play every position on the floor.
That's true.
Are you saying LeBron solo carried?
Yeah, the Cavs to the finals.
Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think they beat any high teams. I don't think they beat any, I don't think they beat the Bucks. I don't think they beat the 76ers. I don't think they beat...
So you're saying if they see him in the playoffs, they're done?
I just say, yeah, exactly.
Without
KD,
I say they see anybody in the playoffs.
Exactly, yeah. But what I do say is that I think during the regular season, they start proving themselves because every team in the East pretty much got new except the Bucks, right? Everyone's flip-flopped everywhere, right? So, and in the West, too, as much. But every team kind of flip-flops. So the team chemistry has to get there. It doesn't come right away. So I think the Nets, I think they surprise everyone. I think Kyrie plays really, really well in a resurgence type form. And I think they surprise a lot of people early. And they do so well early that their record is a bit above some of the teams that they shouldn't be above. But they end up getting top 5 in the East just because of how good their record will be early on.
So, I mean, you get rid of D'Angelo Russell. If you're the Nets, you get rid of Russell and you get Kyrie. That's already an upgrade.
Yes.
So I think, I can agree they definitely pick up a couple more wins, but I think the East is going to be kind of it's a lock for their top 3. You got the Sixers, Bucks, and Celtics, in my opinion. But when KD comes back, I think you can say the Nets are there because
the
thing is, the Bucks, they have their quote-unquote duo being Giannis and Chris Middleton.
Right.
Middleton shoots about 40% career-wise, shoots 40% from the 3.
Right.
So that's pretty good.
That's not bad.
So Giannis, but if Giannis can also take that step and get the 3-point going, then I think you've got a whole nother thing. You've got those 2 7-footers standing out there.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm standing at the 3-point line. I'll just pull up. It's okay. I made it.
Exactly.
That's horrifying. If you're any of these other teams.
So who the Celtics? Go ahead. Continue.
No, what were you gonna say?
I was just about to. Who do you guys have? Because I believe we're trying to figure out who makes it out of the Eastern Conference, right? Who goes to the finals and whatnot. So who do you guys have going through to the finals from the East?
Of those teams we just said.
Of those teams that we mentioned, yeah.
Because we know it's gonna be one of the top 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Giannis fan.
So you think Giannis is gonna do it?
I believe the Bucks will make it to the finals.
So you think they'll stomp out any competition they have this time?
I think the only team that's going to give them the most run for their money is the Sixers.
Okay.
I can see because Sixers Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals.
But the only thing is, if they're a 1 and 2 seed, they'll play each other.
No, they won't see each other if they.
Oh wait, no.
Because the way they do the playoffs is different.
So yeah.
What do you have?
Well, personally, I would have said the 76ers, but I gotta say, unless they really, I do think they're gonna mesh very well. I think their young talent will show up this next year, even more so than last year. I just don't think they're ready to contend with Giannis. I think they finished first, but I don't think they're ready to contend in the playoffs
that much yet.
Giannis finished
And
first.
they were so close to going to beating the Raptors, right? They were that close. Game 7, awful loss.
Yeah, a Kawhi bounce.
Exactly. Insane plays that happened. They were this close to going to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I think they contend. They put up. They give the Bucks a hell of a fight, but I think the Bucks are just a tiny bit better in the end, just because they have more experience. Giannis is a better player than anyone on the Sixers by far, and that will just propel them forward to the finals. So the Bucks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll agree with Dan.
I'm gonna say this. I think this. I agree. It's gonna be Bucks Sixers in the finals, in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I'm picking the Sixers, and here's why.
Interesting.
If you've got Ben Simmons who can shoot a jumper, who's standing over your point guard that tall.
Yeah.
He's what? Now, how tall is Ben Simmons? 6'10"?
Very close.
You got him standing that tall. Plus, he can drive on you. You've got Tobias Harris out in the wing. You've got Josh Richardson out in the wing. You got Joel Embiid commanding attention down in the middle.
Yeah.
You've already stretched out their team. You've already got an open. I'm saying because the Sixers have a more balanced team.
Right.
And I'm saying if Ben Simmons, and my prediction could be totally wrong. I'll be 100% honest. I was just watching some of his. Ben Simmons was playing against some of the other like younger NBA players, and they were just having a pickup game.
Right.
He was hitting shots on him. But
as expected.
If that, well, I would hope so. If he's trying to work on a jumper.
Exactly.
But if they can do that, and Ben Simmons has a good jumper, the Sixers are hard to beat, and I'm picking the Sixers out of the East solely because I believe they have just a little bit better team. The Bucks have the better player. The Sixers have the better team.
It kind of will come down to
is,
if you believe a whole team is better than one superstar, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, the Sixers still have a superstar.
Exactly. They don't have a superstar really per se. It's more like a combined team effort. But can one player like on the caliber of Giannis hold off a whole squad? I mean, he has obviously
5 players.
Hold off 5 really good, talented players. Maybe not superstars in their own right, but talented players nonetheless.
There's only one superstar on that team. It's Embiid. That's it.
Exactly.
He's the best center in the game.
Well, that's
best pure center. The best pure center in the game.
He's not even a real pure center. He might be 7'3", but he's not a real
better?
Pure. There's really no real pure center in the league anymore.
He's the best. If you're telling me AD is a better center, wrong. AD is a power forward.
The definition of center has changed over the years in the league.
That is true.
Yeah.
So
I'll give you that.
You gotta it's a different question with everyone. But I have to say, if I had to pick between the Bucks and Sixers, I think the Bucks are just a tiny bit better. But they also lost to the Raptors. But that's also because they had Kawhi. So, I mean, that was kind of like a fight against who's the best player, right? Who's better, Kawhi, Giannis? Well, Giannis showed up. So, it really doesn't...
Giannis got shut down.
Yeah, he did. So, again, it really doesn't show in the end what you would personally say against it. I just got to say that when you look at it on face value, a team should beat one player, but with Giannis getting a whole nother year of experience, getting so close to the finals, as close as he was, and not getting that chance, I think a fire is lit under his stomach, and I think he's going to be angry, and I think he's going to want a chance of revenge and to get back there. And I think that is going to propel him to be even as good a team as the 76ers will be.
Okay, I can see that. I mean, definitely a player's will can carry them a lot farther.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of
I
that
can definitely see that.
will in him.
Oh, yeah. When LeBron
person.
wills you somewhere, you go. Exactly. All right, but on to the 4. Who you got at the 4? I mean, with these last few, we'll kind of go through it because the East is... if you're not those top 3 teams, I don't think you're going anywhere. I'm sorry.
Last 4 of the Eastern in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, from 4 to 8.
4 to 8. So I kind of have it as Celtics at 4. Then I had the Pacers next. And then I kind of... This is where I just throw around names because it could be really anything. I believe I had the Heat because of Jimmy Butler edition. I think they get a little bit better. And then because I really don't know, I threw in the Magic because who knows? Maybe something crazy could happen.
Okay. Yeah. What do you have, Dan?
Well, I didn't say my 3 team, but my 3 team is the 76ers.
Well, I kind of figured that. I mean, we know the top 3 teams are going to be those 3. The Raptors are out of that top 3.
from my mouth.
Oh, okay.
And then I have the Nets next. I have the Pistons.
You think the Pistons are going to come up?
Pistons.
So
Okay.
that's 5. Then I have the Pacers at 6, the Heat at 7, and the Magic at 8.
You think the Raptors fall out?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
I don't see the Raptors without. That team was only good because of Kawhi.
The team that's carried by.
But the thing is, they also have really made they make the playoffs all the time. They just don't win anything.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem they have is that
Siakam and Kyle Lowry are not going to be able to carry that team into the playoffs.
I think they can carry them to the playoffs. I don't think they'll do
I
anything.
mean, you gotta give them credit on one thing is that obviously they won the championship when they weren't expected to, but with the loss
Siakam
of
was
such
the most
with
improved,
the
I believe.
loss of the franchise player, I don't know if the whole team can be carried basically by the whole team can be carried throughout into the playoffs by the rest of whatever they have to scramble basically.
Yeah.
So let me get to where I have the Raptors in the playoffs real quick.
Okay.
I have at 4 the Pacers, 5 Nets. I see what you're saying when you say like Kyrie got a fire under him, but I don't see that happening because it's a new team.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have the best players right now, but maybe you build over the next year. Maybe you get a couple trades in this year.
Right.
At 5, I have the Nets, like I said. But the Raptors I have at 6, and here's why. I think they're better than the Magic and the Heat. And the thing is, that team was built to be well balanced. Their bench is okay. It's pretty decent.
Right.
It's good enough to keep you in a game. I believe in the 2 comparisons of the bench, the Raptors were killing the Warriors in the finals.
That's true.
So it's like that. And I think that's going to keep them in games, and I think that's going to win them games. But they're not going any higher than 6. If they do, I'll be pretty impressed.
Okay.
Because I don't see them when Oladipo comes back. Oladipo's going to carry the Pacers. The Pacers pick up Brogdon, and I mean that's a pretty good pickup. I mean he's coming from a Bucks team that made it to the conference finals,
Yeah.
so he'll probably be on the floor quite a bit. And then at 7, I have the Magic. They signed Terrence Ross. He's 15 points per game last season, and he's a 38% 3-point shooter. That's pretty good, I'd say.
Okay.
And then at 8, the Heat. And I'm saying the Magic and the Heat could be interchangeable. It's really up for grabs.
That's kind of
Jimmy Butler's only going to be able to carry that team so far, and that's into the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's about it.
That's a big if.
Yeah, I think that's about it. I don't think it's an if. I think he can do
Magic
it.
will have to contend with a lot of problems if they want to get in, but they have a chance.
I agree.
Aaron Gordon is going to carry that team into the playoffs.
He's going to have to.
He's gonna have to, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, actually, Terrence Ross being there is pretty good.
Can't go either way.
Was I right about that one? I don't think I am. Hold
On what?
up. Ross.
He used to be on them, but I don't know.
No, I think he left. No, he's a Magic player.
Crazy dunking ability.
Well, that puts us on the Western Conference, correct?
Yep.
Oh my ESPN came up.
This conference is so hard to pick.
This is where it really gets interesting.
This is like, because I know most people are gonna disagree with me, so it's okay.
We're about to have some serious discussion.
It's okay.
Well, then I guess we all know who's going first.
Nope.
Go ahead.
No,
I ain't going first.
Fine.
You don't want to
All
go
right.
first?
No, I want to hear what Hoppy has to say.
Oh dear.
All right. I'll go first. I'll
You
go
just got
first.
told.
Okay,
Don't you dare say
so
the
first
Warriors.
off, this is where
right.
my brother, when me and him argue about this all the time, this is where he goes ballistic. So, as good as Kawhi is, don't get me wrong, I do not have the Clippers at the top of the conference. I don't have them.
Okay, that's not necessarily
number
bad.
1. I don't have them even number 2.
Okay, now we're getting kind of awkward.
Now it gets a little. I know. So I actually have the Nuggets at 1. Now this is gonna confuse a lot of people because they're like, "What did the Nuggets even do?" Well, honestly,
Well, they were second
added,
last year.
Yeah, they were second last year, but I think adding Jeremy Grant is kind of an underrated move, and I think they're gonna do a lot off of that. And they're getting Michael Porter Jr., who sat out the entire season who had injuries. They're getting him back and basically going to be able to use him now. And they have a good, really firm team of a lot of good players, kind of like the 76ers. They're basically like the 76ers of the West. And
a lot of young talent who also has a lot of improved players as well. And while everyone's harping about Kawhi and all these players who are on the Clippers now and everything that's happened with them, I think that just because you added Kawhi and Paul George doesn't mean you're instantly going to become the best team in the league. I don't think it's going to be just because Kawhi's been so insane doesn't mean he's going to hold up to what he did last year. And you still have who, even though Doc Rivers is a great coach, he has had so many issues these past few seasons with teams. And I think that just because of that, I don't have him at number 2. And I know a lot of people are like, "What are you talking about? You're insane." I actually have.
You are.
I know. A lot of people disagree with me. I get it. So I actually have, and this one's probably going to be the wild one. I have the Rockets at number 2.
Okay, we'll get in.
Y'all have lost.
Let's go.
No, hold on.
Let's go with everybody else's. No. Let's go with everybody else's number 1 pick first.
Okay.
Then we'll get into that.
Okay, go ahead.
Dan, you go with your number 1 pick. I'll go mine. You have the Lakers at 1. How many games they win?
Gonna be too nasty.
How many games they winning?
60.
60? I got them like 54.
I think they win 60 games.
And I definitely don't have the Lakers at 1. I think they're going to load manage, because who wants to hurt AD in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Right? Who wants to hurt LeBron in the playoffs? You got Boogie Cousins, who just came on. It's his year. Remember how I was talking about last week? Talked about that week, that you got a year to come back from injury. After that, you better be at 100%. Will Boogie be at 100%? Probably. If he returns to,
there's about a 95% chance that he's 100%.
If he comes back as DeMarcus Boogie Cousins, Sacramento number 15, like form, I'll believe what you're saying. Dude, he would be nuts
if he does that.
I mean, that would be almost an unbeatable team.
Yeah, that team's insane. If he goes back to prime form, if LeBron doesn't have any fall offs, that team's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I don't think the Lakers are going to be bad this year.
I think the Lakers are the number 1 seed.
See, the thing is,
the Lakers. All right.
I'm picking the Clippers as the 1, but that's only because last year they were the 8 seed with 0 superstars.
Right.
You get rid of Gallinari. Sorry, you don't have him anymore, and he was good. He wasn't great, but he was good.
Yeah.
But you say, I dropped Gallinari.
He was a bench player.
Huh?
He was a bench player. He came off the bench.
Yeah, but he's still good. That bench was good. But you get rid of him, and you said, I brought in Kawhi and Paul George. Now and there's a couple question marks with this team. 1, how many games will Kawhi take off? 2,
exactly.
Will Paul George be Paul George like he was in Indy, right?
Or last year when he was an MVP candidate.
Yeah. Right. But the thing is, that's last year. This is this year. I'm thinking Kawhi. I'm not on the Kawhi bandwagon and saying he's the best player in the world. No. That baton is up for grabs. Whoever is going to be dominant this year is going to grab it. And that could be anybody.
Yeah.
I really think it could be anybody.
Well, the whole West is stacked.
Oh, yeah. But no, the only reason I'm picking the Clippers, you bring in all these people. You got these 2 superstars coming in. You got a good coach. You got a good owner. That's what leads to championship. You got to have everything from top to bottom. From your president of operation, from your owner up top, all the way down to your worst player. If that is all on the same page, if that is all there. And the thing is, these players buy into a system. They want to play for a good coach. Doc Rivers he's a good coach. When they're going to buy into a system, that's what they need. And I think they can do it better than any team on this list right now. And I'm with you on the Rockets are 2.
I really think they improve, especially with Westbrook.
I do too, but it brings up a bunch of questions.
It allows James Harden to go back to what he's good at, or what he's mainly good at, instead of having to be the point guard. That as much as
it'll take some pressure off of Harden.
Yeah, it allows him to, instead of having to be the main focus of the entire team, point guard, passing. I mean, he didn't even do that much anyway, but shooting, passing, doing everything defense, even though he doesn't play defense. Instead of just doing that, he now allows Russell to dictate the offense, and he gets to focus on one thing, what he's good at, which is shooting and driving.
Putting the ball in the basket.
Or getting fouled constantly. So that is
It's honestly why I think Russell with James, or Russell with Harden, as good as they were in OKC, I think now it's even better. And I think I think honestly, this team, as much as people probably don't agree with me, I think they're the second best team in the West now because they just have so much firepower.
I think a lot of people actually have put them on top.
Okay.
Surprisingly.
I have them up top, but they're definitely in the number 2.
Yeah, I don't have them number 1 because I think if two-way players, Paul George and Kawhi, play those two,
yeah,
it's not that they're going to completely lock them down. They're going to make it hard for them to score, and they're just as fast as those two. Really, I believe that.
Yeah,
it's just dependent on how they're going to do it.
No, I gotta say that
it's wild.
I gotta say, I know a lot of people are like, why aren't you have the Lakers second or even first, like Dan has them? The reason is because I think they're still as great as their talent is. They brought in with Anthony Davis, with DeMarcus Cousins. They even added Danny Green, Jared Dudley, and A.B. Bradley. They still lost a lot of young talent, and even though you have the prime talent that they have right now, which is insane, they're gonna have to deal with so much talent in the West coming out of it that I think almost saying that I think they are going to take a while to mesh, and that will hurt their record a bit. But once they do mesh, they'll take off. But I think it will not be in time early enough to put them in a higher spot than 3.
Okay. What do you? So you have the Rockets at 2, Dan? Oh, who do you have 2?
Clippers are 2.
Okay.
Clippers so are 2. LA teams 1 and 2.
LA back to back.
That's
1 and 2.
understandable.
I see.
I mean, I think
it's gonna be like the first time ever that's gonna happen.
Yeah, one team's not garbage.
Then back.
Oh
and
my
forth,
gosh!
both
But
teams.
LA is going to be a dogfight.
Mm-hmm.
LA in the
Western Conference Finals.
Exactly.
It's gonna be nuts. I really think LA is the capital of basketball this year.
It's going to be an incredible time to be a Los Angeles basketball fan for sure. But at the same time, I still think one of the teams in the playoffs will get beat, or one of the teams will beat the Lakers. I just don't see. I'll save my opinion for that on another day. Actually, I just don't see them being as insane as everyone thinks they will be.
Mm-hmm. All right, so 3 spot. Dan, do you have the Rockets there? Don't you dare say no.
Oh, I could probably guess who
Oh my gosh, he's gonna say no.
You're the Trailblazers.
I'm gonna give you the opportunity to guess at who I
You're
have.
The Trailblazers.
Don't you dare say the Warriors.
Not the Trailblazers at 5.
Oh, yeah,
I have the Nuggets at
Okay, so you have
3.
the Nuggets there.
Okay. I kind of get
they
that.
They had such a great
Nuggets
season last year.
They did.
I really like Michael Porter Jr. Like I
Very
really
good
like,
player.
I think he's great.
You guys are completely disagree where I put the Nuggets in.
Okay, who do you have at 3?
Why? Who you got?
I'll tell you in a little bit. But right now, I got the Lakers at 3. Those are my top 3 teams: are the Clips, Rockets, Lakers.
Okay.
My only issue with the Rockets is that Westbrook, Harden, their usage rate 1 and 2, that's through the roof. One of them's got to give up the ball.
Yeah.
I don't know who it's gonna be. The thing is, it's Harden's team, but Westbrook is more of a point guard.
Yeah, exactly.
Westbrook can't shoot the ball as good as Harden.
No.
But Westbrook's gonna want his triple double.
Oh yeah, they both are gonna.
Remember that meme I showed you the other day where it was Westbrook and Harden fighting over the ball. It's like Westbrook was like 2 points away from a triple double. Harden blocked him. It was a funny little animation thing. It was really funny though, and maybe I'll put it on the screen. I doubt it, but I might think about it, or I'll link to it or something. But if you can't, they got to be able to share the ball. Maybe they set him up to where it's like Harden, since Harden's left-handed, he stays on the left. Westbrook's right-handed, he stays on the right. So you got a threat to where if you don't have 2 solid defenders, then you can't stop both of them.
Which the Clippers do have solid defenders, so they'll have that ability to stop them.
But that's the only team that really has 2.
Exactly. The only team I can see that can really stop the firepower of the Rockets is the Clippers. But I also don't think I necessarily see. Well, maybe they do have a lot to contend with, but I don't think the Clippers will have the Rockets will be their hardest matchup, I think.
I don't know. I feel like a team that has better team chemistry to where Kawhi and Paul George can't lock down. Like, if you've got a team that's got two superstars, like, this is the year of the duo. Who is your duo?
Yeah.
If you don't have that, if a team doesn't have that, but they have a bunch of different people who can shoot the ball, two defenders can't play 5 positions.
That's very true.
I mean, they might be quick enough if they're close, if they're not spaced out far enough, but we'll see. But I've got questions about the Rockets, but I think with how both of them play at 150% with Westbrook, and then Harden's literally going to give you like 30 points a night. I think he was averaging what was it?
Yeah.
50 for a little bit between like a X amount of game span. That's ridiculous.
I mean, he had like what, a 10 or 12 game streak where he was scoring like 40 points a game.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. Is just if Harden does that, they get rid of Chris Paul and bring in Westbrook. In my opinion, you're losing. Chris Paul's a pretty decent spot up shooter. Like, he stands if he gets in his spot, you give him the ball, he'll knock it down.
Yeah.
Look at his stats. I'm not joking.
No, I know.
No, I'm talking to Dan. Dan gave me a look. He said, "What?" Like, he gave me a look.
Oh,
like,
no,
what'd you say?
Chris Paul's not as good as he used to be.
No, he's not. But he's a good spot up shooter. If he's there and he's open, he'll knock it down.
He has.
He can knock down open shots, but
I'm not saying it's contested. I'm just saying, like, with Harden demanding so much, Chris Paul was open. But the thing is, they didn't mesh well together.
No, they did not.
The thing is, if Westbrook is open and he drives on you, you're done. That's it. He's gonna get to the basket. That's gonna. I think that chemistry is gonna work a little bit better.
In the entire league, along with James Harden, to stop, which is why I think they're gonna actually mesh pretty well. Is because you have to spend so much time guarding either one of them that you have to, and guarding both at the same time is not near impossible, right? So you can't you even if the team manages, like maybe the Clippers defensively are amazing now. Even if a team manages to lock down both at the same time, that's 3 other players they have to worry about as well.
Yeah.
Which will still allow the Rockets to score. They're going to be one of the highest scoring teams in the league again, I think, just because of that.
And so, for your third spot, you said the Clippers. No, Rockets. You have the Nuggets. I'm sorry. I'm sitting here.
The Rockets, I have a 4.
Okay, well, that's kind of weird. Let's not talk about that. For my 3, like I said, I had the Lakers, and I think because of the injury, because of load management, they're at 3. They're not higher.
I want to know why the team uses at 4 is at 4.
The Trailblazers?
Yeah.
Because they were 3 last year.
The Nuggets should definitely be top 4.
The Nuggets should be top 4. I mean, I have them at, I believe I have
at
them
1,
2.
which I think is ridiculous. But
I don't.
Well, he's gonna think what he's gonna think what I'm gonna.
I think the Nuggets are gonna be probably. I still think. Go ahead, Austin. Go ahead.
The Trailblazers are at 4, and here's why. They have secured the paint. There is nobody who is going to score in the paint. Period. Look.
That is true.
They got Whiteside.
They did.
They got Pau Gasol. They literally signed like 3 centers.
Yeah, their paint's insane.
Their paint is not getting scored on.
No.
Period. But their guards are still like
some of the best in the league.
Yeah, they're literally the best, like one of the best duos in the league.
Exactly.
They've been playing together the longest. CJ McCollum will knock down your threes. Lillard, we saw what he did in the playoffs last year to send OKC home.
Yeah.
If he does that consistently,
Lillard's insane. The improvement
I like
he makes
Lillard.
every
Lillard's
single year is insane.
He's a baller.
I
He's
know.
good.
So what he's done.
T-Lill's probably my second favorite player in the league.
I mean, I respect that. You can't complain about
I
that.
think I
like he walked into that Foot Locker the other day and bought 2 kids 5 pairs of shoes each. And
what?
It's crazy. I didn't even hear
that man is just awesome.
He's definitely a good guy. But the thing is, the only thing I can see really hurt in Portland was when they got rid of Seth Curry. That was another knockdown shooter.
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty good. He's definitely a guy
horrible.
you can.
He's not his brother, but he's not.
Oh, duh.
Very hard
Steph
to beat
Curry.
Steph.
Yeah, right? You'll never live up to your brother. It's like you're just like, I'm trying, okay?
Exactly.
So, there's that. All right, so 4 spot, you had
The Rockets.
Rockets. Ryan, you had who?
I have the Trailblazers 4th.
All right, so we agree on that.
Yes.
Do you agree on like what I said? Like they've got one of the best duos. They
have probably the best
secured
shooting
their paint.
duo since Clay won't be back for a while in the West. So I think they have that. I also think I completely agree with Hassan, with Pau Gasol, and everything, and Yusuf Nurkic. I think I might have butchered his last name. Coming back and getting healthy. Their defense in the paint is insane now, and
Whiteside averages 2 blocks a game and
can
10
also
plus
play
boards.
extremely well defense. Lillard's just a beast. He's like a mini Russell Westbrook, except he can actually shoot outside.
Yeah, he doesn't have the worst 3-point percentages in the league like Westbrook.
Exactly.
Hey, do they still have Evan Turner?
I do not.
No, they got rid of Evan
I think
Turner.
they got rid of
Yes,
him.
they did.
Who's their 3?
Who's going to play their 3?
Yeah. Is it Layman, the guy that?
Well, they added Hassan Whiteside,
Maryland?
they added Anthony Tolliver, Kent Bazemore, and Mario Hazanja. So I'm not sure if any of those are planning to replace Evan Turner. But I just think the Trailblazers have everything you would want to have with a
Rodney Hood might play their 3.
Rodney Hood. Yeah, he could do
He
that.
won't be their starting.
Depending on
He's
who you
coming
need.
off the bench.
Right.
Depends on who you got, right?
Exactly.
They're going to be kind of like lacking, I think, in the 3, but they've got 4, 5. They got 1, 2, 3. They got 1, 2, 4, 5. Their 3 is going to be lacking.
Well, if they still had Layman, I can't remember what his first name is, but
Yeah, he's not here.
he played with Seth Allen at Maryland.
Wow.
So now,
I actually didn't know
given that we basically all give our top 4, do you guys want to
Let's
give
kinda-
your finals
let's-
predictions or for the East for the
No,
WCF,
because the thing
or-
is, the West is wide open, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm going down my list
Going
here
down,
because,
finishing out the list. Okay.
oh, yeah.
Who
5s.
do you have in 5?
My 5? The Jazz.
God, I 100% agree with you on that.
What's wrong? What do you think?
I love Donovan Mitchell.
It's not that.
I just don't think
See,
the
look,
Jazz are going to be higher than 8.
Really? See, the thing is, I don't have the Spurs making this
The
playoff.
West. Oh, I don't either. But the West is so jam packed with superstars.
The Jazz
on
made
stacked
it last
teams.
year. Look, and here's the thing.
But last year and this year are going to be 2 different things.
Yeah, but they added Mike Conley, who's going to be able to teach. See, I think Mike Conley is a really good point guard.
Oh, so do I.
He's super underrated. People sleep on him all the time.
Yeah.
Him and Marc Gasol in Memphis were
They were
great
good.
duo.
Yeah,
Look,
they just
their
never got the. They
defense-
just
They were
never
the
got any
hardest
help.
team to beat
Their
in the West.
defense is
in the
insane.
playoffs.
Can't argue with that. But the other thing
defense
that
wins
was the
championships.
problem last year was their 3-point shooting percentage was terrible in the playoffs, right? And
Yep.
and so what they did to settle that pretty much was they got Mike Conley and they also signed Bojan Bogdanovic, who are both
Yes.
known for shooting 3-pointers and will also probably help Donovan Mitchell because he won't feel alone on offense anymore.
Yeah.
So
Because see, the thing is, Mike Conley can also give you a couple points a game. Like he's going to give you 10,
exactly, and I think
12. He's going to give you a bunch of assists though, and that's what you bring him in for. You bring him in to open up space on the floor for everybody else.
exactly, and with all the talent that is offensive talent in the Western Conference throughout the entire league at this point in the West, you're going to need a team kind of like the Jazz who has insanely good defense with abilities on offense to do what they can to win the game. That I think the Jazz actually put up a fight, and they might even go higher than 5 potentially, but I think they make it very difficult, especially if they make the playoffs, for a team like the Rockets, like the Trailblazers, like any team with a high amount of offense to do a lot of damage to them because they'll have such a good defensively team.
Okay, and then what do you have at 5? Then?
I have Portland at 5.
I mean, they're a 4-5 spot in my opinion.
But they can definitely go higher than 5. But that I truly believe that's their spot is the 5 seed or the 5th seed.
And then you're with me on the Jazz at 5, right, Ryan?
Yes, I am.
All right. So I guess next is the 6th spot. I'm not going to go first on this one because we're going to have a
I
talk.
can go first this time. So this one is where I actually put the Warriors. I think that losing KD is huge hurt, obviously. Where would it not be to any team that lost him? Bringing in D'Angelo Russell is going to help Steph until Clay comes back, whenever he comes back.
Might hurt him though eventually.
Willie Cauley-Stein looks like a promising player. Honestly, he's pretty young, I believe. I don't remember.
He's a
how
paint
old.
defender, really.
He really could do a lot, but I think he has a chance to take over for what DeMarcus, because I don't think ever Boogie was ever that great on the Warriors. I don't think he ever showed up in what he could have
Well,
been.
he was hurt. And
He was hurt
all
most
year.
of the season anyway. And obviously they just re-signed Draymond. They got Glenn Robinson as well. So I think they're a very young team right now, especially with all their new additions that they have. But I think they still, especially with Curry not having to share with Durant as much, I think he's able to pop off even more than he was before. And until Clay comes back, that's still going to be a lot of shooting missing. But D'Angelo Russell, never been an amazing shooter, but
he can knock down.
He can still do. He can't do what Clay did, but he can do good enough to not make it seem like Clay is that huge of a burden loss. So I'll put him at 6. I'm not going to put him any higher, but I'm also not going to put him any lower because I don't think they'll go much lower. But I think they'll be right there in the mix at the bottom, not near the middle. Maybe even contend for a closer spot, depending on how well everyone else does. But losing Kevin hurts a lot, and then not having Clay at the start of the season, they're going to have a rough start. But I think they end up molding well later on.
Okay. And then, Dan, you're up for 6.
I'm also putting the Warriors at 6.
Do you think Hoppy hit it right on the head?
Yeah, but I'm thinking that because KD is gone, Steph is going to have to return to his MVP
pre-KD form.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you got to remember that boy was
insane.
A 2-time MVP in back-to-back years, and the second year he was the unanimous MVP.
Yeah, it was insane.
If he can become MVP caliber again like he had been, they're definitely 4 or 5.
I think they could go higher, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I think they can go higher, but I don't know how high they'll get without Clay.
Yeah.
I don't think they're top 2. I think they're either 3, 4, 5, or 6.
I think their defense falls off 6. A little without Durant as well.
And Clay.
Yeah, he has a really good perimeter defense as well. And he can fight in the paint. He's not afraid.
Is there anything else to say before I get yelled at?
Nope. Go ahead, man. Give us what you got.
I got the Nuggets at 6.
The Nuggets all the way down at 6.
I think they get knocked. The only reason I say this is because remember when we talked about Philly?
Yeah.
We talked about them having a good team. Philly has a couple of stars.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Philly's got Embiid and Simmons. The Nuggets have Jamal Murray coming in, Gary Harris. They also have Jokic. I almost said Nurkic. I'm like, that's not right. No, they have Jokic, who is really good. But they're still a really young team. And after you have your first good season, maybe you're looking towards having a down season. Plus, look at the teams that, like, if you look at who they beat last year out, real quick, I'm going to pull up the, not the stats. You got, no, I'm sorry. I had this up earlier. I deleted it. I'm going to pull it up again real quick. But it is the standings.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now that the Lakers, if they were all healthy last year, would be up in the top spot. They wouldn't have lost as many games. The Rockets having issues the way they did, they would be up in the top spot, not having lost as many games.
They would be better.
The Spurs, obviously, because they weren't that good. They were good enough. They weren't that good. Oklahoma City, you're looking at like Westbrook. They had dissension in the locker room already because they were like, "Oh, Westbrook was already part of a trade." Oh my, right? The Jazz get a little bit better. All these teams, when you look at the teams that were underneath the Nuggets from last year, besides I'd say Trailblazers, Thunder, Spurs, every single one of those teams got better. Like, the Lakers got way better. The Jazz got way better. They, like, even just by adding something small like Mike Conley.
Yeah.
That's something they need because you get rid of Ricky Rubio and you get Mike Conley.
Right.
That's an upgrade.
That is.
It's not a big upgrade, but it's enough. I'm saying the Nuggets will have more issues this year. I don't think they can stay perfect right now.
Well, the West was kind of a weaker conference last year.
It was. You knew who was coming out of the West.
You knew who was basically coming out of it. It was going to be, the Nuggets, the
Warriors or Rockets.
Exactly. And I think the West was a lot weaker last year than it is this year. And the teams that were up at the top are going to definitely drop a bit. But I still think the Nuggets, with all the potential they showed, now they don't have the superstar names to it as other teams in their conference do. but I still think they have the absolute potential to be the number one. I just don't see them. Their points per game is definitely lower than most teams, but their opponents' points per game, their defense was so good last year that I think it's going to help them a lot in the long run.
I think that they could be switched with the Jazz, maybe Portland, but I really don't think that'll happen again.
I know my pick's a long shot, but I think it's a chance.
I don't think it's necessarily a long shot. I think you make that from a good standpoint. I don't agree with it.
Yep, gotcha.
And I don't think Dan agrees with it.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Oh, he looks so tired right now.
How they're not top 4, I don't understand.
Hey, man, it's my picks, not yours.
True.
So, all right, 7 spot. These two, I mean, kind of can just like...
These two, it's interchangeable for me. I don't really have a set one. A lot of people put the Pelicans up there because of their additions and their draft picks. But I think the Pacers will be a little bit better.
Wait,
or sorry, not the Pacers. Jesus Christ, what am I talking about? Wrong team.
You're out there, bud.
I know. Long day. I think the Mavericks will be a little better this year.
I mean, they did pick up a couple.
And they were awful last year. Don't get me wrong.
Splashes.
They picked up some players, and I think Zion's not going to be incredible right off the bat. So I don't think he's going to be this game-changing player that's going to make the Pelicans somehow insanely better. I mean, they added a lot of people. They had Alonzo, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, J.J. Redick, Zion, Derek Favors, Jackson. I mean, they're a lot of players, right? A lot. And they're going to be better. But I think the Mavericks actually look, on paper, slightly better than the Pelicans do. So I have the Mavericks at 7.
Doncic and Porzingis. Porzingis still, I mean, being hurt all last year didn't really help, right? So I can see where you're coming from on that, but I mean, I don't have that. What about you, Dan? What do you got for your 7 spot?
I got Utah.
The Jazz. I mean, I don't see how you can't put the Jazz in there, like in the playoffs in general. They're solid defensively. They're literally last year were the best defensive team. Yeah, best opponents points per game, keeping them the lowest, 106.5. That's huge.
They're definitely, even though it's a stacked Western Conference, are a very, very good team.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think the Jazz. I think they'll make it to the second round, depending on who they play. Yeah. But they're not going farther than that, in my opinion. There's too many stacked teams to go that far. And then, so my 7 spot is the Warriors. I think losing KD, losing Clay, and another reason I put this way is because there's a video out there. Granted, Clay's injury is a decent fix. Like, doctors can do that pretty easily. Yeah. Now, it's still very, like, dangerous to do extreme stuff on your knee after a surgery.
It is, yeah.
But and this is the reason I say this is because it's like they say a fool is quickly parted with his money. Same thing about an injury.
Yeah.
A fool is going to re-hurt himself.
Yeah, they will.
The man went wakeboarding.
That's
right after his surgery. Like, not like right after.
The smartest thing in the world to do. Yeah,
I feel like if that's going to happen, there's going to be a couple issues. It might, when he comes back, if he didn't let that thing, because if they also say if you don't let it heal right, it's going to get hurt. Same thing happened to my groin when I played hockey. I heard something pop. I didn't go to the doctor. I went a couple weeks later, and she's like, that's healing wrong. And I was like, well, that's great. And so if you don't get it fixed properly and you don't take the precautions, I mean, you're getting paid millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing that the Clay was quoted as saying, I'm not going to rush coming back. I want to heal properly. But wakeboarding right after his surgery isn't exactly the best way to prove that to everyone. So
he was also apparently dancing on his jet when he's flying out there. He's moving his knee pretty good. And I was like, I would take my time. I would not be moving. I'd be kicking back and relaxing.
It is the off season.
But, and then also I have another reason I think that the Warriors are 7 and not any higher is because of D'Angelo Russell. His usage rate, we always talk about the usage rate of Harden and Westbrook, right? The 1 and 2. D'Angelo Russell, I mean, last year his team he was on was the Nets, and he had he's not necessarily carrying them, but he was doing a lot of the work.
Right.
He was at 10. He was the 10th highest. The Warriors' highest player was Steph at 20. Not 20%, but 20th in the league.
Which is insane.
KD, and it's kind of low for a team that has.
Yeah, it is.
Actually, it's kind of high for a team that had that many superstars, but also with how many were hurt.
I think, yeah.
Makes more sense. But I think D'Angelo Russell, I mean, they're both going to be playing on the court at the same time. So is Russell, and my thing is Russell going to buy into the system, or is he going to try and do his own thing? Think this is like an easy way to a ring. I'll just play my game and get at the ring, right? No, I don't think that'll happen.
It's a hard question to ask, but I think Russell's always been like kind of a person who refuses to like. I think he's adaptable, but I also think that was a big problem with the Lakers is that he wanted it to be his team.
Yeah,
and I think he the Lakers didn't really feel like that was his team.
Mm-hmm.
Also, didn't help that him and Swaggy P got into
too.
it.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. All right, but I will say this. I put it. It's a point on my sheet. It says Steph needs to return to MVP form.
Yeah.
For them to be higher while not having Clay. But when playoff time comes, if Clay's back, don't sleep on this team. Period.
Yeah, the Warriors will be insane once he comes back.
They'll still be the Warriors.
Yeah.
And if they keep D'Angelo Russell, that's a sixth man coming off the bench probably.
Somehow he actually agrees to be the sixth man. Yeah.
Yeah, if he does. All right, last spot on this roster. I could make my playoff prediction now on who's coming out of the West. My team in the 8th spot is literally an 8th spot, like an 8 seed team. They're not good. They're going to be close to 500.
Yeah.
Very close. Who do you have as your 8?
Mavs.
Yeah, the Mavs. I respect that.
Luka.
Porzingis. And
yeah, Port Scott are just...
They're going to be good.
Yeah, they're going to be pretty good. Luka had a great season last year.
He did.
As long as Porzingis comes back off this injury very, very healthy and back to his old self, the Mavs will be the 8th seed.
He's a unicorn, dude. He is the unicorn.
Yep.
What about you, Ryan? What do you have?
I have the Pelicans here. I think they'll be better than they were last year. I think they'll be much better than they were last year. I just don't know.
I hope so.
Yeah, I would hope so too. I just don't know if they'll experience, like, they're so young, right? They have such a young team. I don't know if the experience of just a couple of the veterans that they have, very few, like JJ Redick, and they still have Drew Holiday, which was they kept Drew Holiday, which is a big deal. That was a huge deal for them. They got Lonzo Ball, they got Brandon.
And we're back because my internet sucks here at this house right now. All right, and yeah, right. So, what were you were saying? Just your team talk about how they were young and everything. That was it, really.
Yeah, I think they're the Pelicans are such a young team. I don't think they'll converse that quickly and that well with all the veteran lineups that are in the West right now.
All right, I actually agree with Pelicans pick. I think that and here's what I said. I said the Spurs are in a stage where they need to either rebuild or retool. And like I said, retooling and rebuilding are two different things. Like retooling, you gotta find a couple different pieces. Rebuilding is like you're breaking everything down. I think the Spurs are just kind of in that middle ground where they need to find a couple extra pieces and they can retool everything. But I have my Pelicans. They are the actual wild card spot. They are literally like hit or miss. I think they'll make it, but that's only because bubble. Yeah, right. I think they'll make it, and it's only because when they pick up JJ Redick, they're allowed to space the floor now. Zion gets more room. And Brandon Ingram, I think, will take his step to becoming, as long as his blood clots, and hopefully he doesn't get like any issues again. But as long as he takes his step and goes up, it takes a step up, I think we're good.
Okay,
Yep.
I agree with that. I think they'll be. I think they have the highest potential of all the teams at the bottom to move up. I just don't think they will.
Now on to the key question of the day. Who comes out of the West?
Wait, what'd you say? Oh, yeah, you said your 8 was the Mavericks. I'm sorry. Question out of the West.
Go ahead, Austin.
Who comes out of the West?
Who comes out of the West? That's actually difficult.
Very.
It is.
You got so many teams you can win it. And I don't want to be like, oh, this dude's a LeBron fan. You're going to pick the Lakers. Well, I'm not. I'm not picking the Lakers. I actually don't think they'll win. I'm not even going to go with the Clippers because I don't think they'll win.
Damn.
Oh, man.
I'm going to say
Originality?
right now,
What?
I'm actually going to pick the Trailblazers.
The Trailblazers. That would be.
I want to be
actually
out
stunning
there.
if they
If
managed to
I'm
do
going to
that.
be honest, I really think the Lakers are going to do it, but I don't want to pick them. I'm going to pick the Trailblazers, and here's why. You got D-Lil, who came out and said, I don't understand why people are... I'm paraphrasing. I'm not actually quoting him. I don't know why people are always changing teams, forming a super team. I'm going to win my championship right here. Him and CJ are good. Him having now a good centerpiece in Whiteside and Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol knows how to win. I think he can help push him over the edge. We saw him lose to the Warriors, but who's not going to lose to the Warriors, right? I mean, they did. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they lost to the Warriors, right? I believe so.
I believe so.
At that point, everybody knew the Warriors were going.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious at that point.
I'm saying they've got fire, they've got the drive. I like what Damian Lillard said. I really do.
I like that. I like that aggression that he takes with it when he says that. I like how he wants, because the super team thing is so dumb to me. I hate it personally. So I like the fact that he's being aggressive on his choice and basically saying, "Look, I'm gonna win with who brought me in here and who gave me a chance. I want to show this. I want to show my my original city, my original team.
Yeah, we got this,
and they took a chance on me that they can win."
Yep. So I'm gonna say that.
I like that.
If I'm gonna be honest with myself, the Clippers aren't going, the Rockets aren't going, and I think the Lakers are more poised for a good deep run when they make the playoffs.
Probably.
But the Trailblazers are who I want to see in the finals, only because I know what it would mean to Damian Lillard. So I'm gonna stick with that pick. I'm definitely saying right now I am probably gonna be wrong, but if he proves me right, I'll look like a genius.
Yeah, you will. Honestly, that's probably my dream scenario, is to see the Trailblazers actually make it to the finals. That'd be amazing for me, because I'd love to see Damian Lillard in a finals game, because he's just so much fun to watch. But I gotta say, for me to be really realistic, I'm gonna go with the Rockets. I think they're finally gonna get that high-powered offense that they always have. Now, it doesn't seem to work so well in the playoffs, but it works so well in the offense. They made it so much better, and Russell and Harden to play together. They have chemistry. They know how to play with each. I just think the Rockets, plus the addition, I think they're actually going to have a little bit of defense now, and Harden's not going to be just a one-man army. I actually think the Rockets will. I think they'll overtake the Lakers on this one, and maybe even the Clippers if they play really well and they actually have a good shooting game in the playoffs. I think they make it to the finals.
Okay.
Well,
last one. What do you got?
Even though I really don't like this guy, I have to choose LeBron and the Lakers. And I think you understand how much I hate LeBron.
Yeah, you don't.
The crybaby that he is. But my philosophy is you don't have to like him, but you need to respect him for how good he is.
You respect the game. Game respect game, right? You respect his game. He may not like him.
Even though it pains me to say it, but he is the greatest basketball player. I ain't saying of all time, because Michael Jordan's the GOAT, but he's the greatest basketball player in the world right now. And so I think it's the Lakers versus the Bucks in the NBA Finals.
I think LeBron definitely has an actual reason to try this season.
Oh yeah, he said, comeback season if he's got to prove it to me now. That's why I'm very hesitant to still pick them. But if I'm to be realistic with myself, the way that team is built to where if they get to the playoffs, that team's gonna be hard to stop because they're big and LeBron knows how to control the pace of a playoff game. So
for sure, better than almost any other team in the league. So I would say I would love to see the Trailblazers make it. I think the Rockets will, just because I think they'll finally show why offense is so good in the NBA. But I also think their defense will still be a little lackluster. But if I had to bet money on it, though, I'd probably pick the Lakers. It's the safest bet. But I think the Rockets will actually.
Everybody's saying the Clippers have the best chance of winning the finals right now, and already. And I'm gonna be honest.
I'm just not seeing it.
When Kawhi was in San Antonio. For all those years before.
I didn't see that star player that he was until he joined the Raptors.
And even then, he played in a good system. So, I want to...
Yeah, he played in a system.
He's got to make me believe. in what his system is now. Know what I'm saying? Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
So those are our picks for this year. Next week we'll come back. We actually haven't decided on a topic because Dan is not going to be with us for a week. He's going on vacation. So Ryan
Thank God.
Wow. You're not allowed
Oh,
back.
wow.
You're done. Get out of here.
Okay. Maybe we'll find.
Yeah, I think we've already got one. Cole, you're in. No, but we are going to bring in a sport fanatic that we all know. It's actually Ryan's little brother, but the kid is so knowledgeable in sports. We're going to bring him in.
He's probably more knowledgeable about basketball than any of us.
He's been following it since he was like 2. Since that boy could dribble a ball, he's been following it.
I think we're gonna try. I think we're gonna try to do a split session
with
almost
the NFL and NBA. We're gonna start covering the MLB when playoff time comes around, because jumping in right now would be kind of awkward because we'd be in the middle of a season. It's close to the end. Trade deadline just ended, so I mean, yeah, there would be news around it, but it would be more interesting if we just went straight in when we see the playoff picture and we start from there. So if you're tuning in for MLB, we'll cover that in next month. In September towards the end, but right now we're going to stick because preseason's coming up and NBA starts in October, so we'll do that. Thank you all for listening. Hope you guys have a great day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And this has been the Big 3 Sportscast.